Hello, this is W3OY-RAY and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be starting my progressive pinning series where I'll be starting with this American 1100 series padlock. This is a 5-pin green belt lock according to the LPU belt ranking system. Very good lock for people to get their feet wet in on progressive pinning. So we'll be starting with that. As we move forward, the next lock will be the Pack Lock 90A Pro. That is a blue belt level lock. Then next will be this purple belt lock, the Medico Biaxial. Then we'll move on to the ASA 600 with gin spools. This is a red belt level lock. Finally, the Mac Daddy of them all, the ASA 700 with gin spools. This is a black belt lock. We will go through all of these locks. So green, blue, purple, red, and black belt level lock. And anybody who has any suggestions for any locks that they would like to see me do, go ahead and put them in the comments of any of my videos and we'll add them to the list, because this could be just the beginning of something. So it doesn't have to be the end. So all right, now that we got that out of the way, let's go on to actually gutting this thing and getting started. Now, you can start with just one pin in it. The problem with that is the lock is pretty sloppy with just one pin in it. So we're going to start with two, but in order to get there, we're going to need to gut this thing. So what do we need to gut this lock? First thing you need a gut wrench. You can get by without one of these, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to it. You also need some followers. These here, I think I paid $5 for these 3D printed ones off of eBay. You can also, for this lock specifically in the Pack Lock 90A Pro, you can use a AAA battery in a pinch. What else will we need? We'll need a pinning tray and maybe some shims. Normally I don't shim my 1100s when I'm gutting them, but I will this time just to show you how it's done. And I kind of suggest everybody use them. Because the first time you don't use one is when you're gonna, mess up your lock or mess up a spring or whatever. So let's get this thing gutted and getting on here. So first thing you do, Phillips screw down the shackle hole here. Dump that out. Then you remove your retention nut and your retention plate. At that point, the core will just fall out in your hands. So now you'll remove your clip. You can use a gut wrench or a clip wrench like this, or you can use tweezers and just put them on either side of it like so, and just push it off just like that. So you can do either, it doesn't really matter, to each his own. Okay, so now that we have the clip off, we can put the key in, cock it to about a 10 o'clock position. Okay, now we'll put our shim in. We'll see how much trouble it's going to give me. Almost none. Sweet. Okay, now that we got our shim in, down goes the follower. Okay. So like I said, I prefer, whenever I'm progressive pinning a lock, whenever I start dumping everything, to gut it. I gut it completely. And that is kind of what you should do. You should take absolutely everything out, including the springs, because if you by accident leave a spring inside or a spring in a key pin, you can end up damaging the lock, you can damage the springs. It's just a pain no matter what you do. So I always suggest to anybody that you gut the thing fully whenever you're going to start progressive pinning. So pull out the shim. Now we'll remove our driver pins. Okay, in slot number 1 we have a serrated pin. Number 2 we have a serrated spool. Number 3, we have a serrated pin. Number 4, we have a serrated spool. And in number 5, we'll swap it around. Number 5, another serrated spool. That's pretty much the standard you'll find in the American 1100. 2 serrated, 3 spools, 3 serrated, 2 spools, 1 serrated, 4 spools. It all depends on which one you get. It doesn't really matter. But like I said, at this time, definitely dump out all your springs. Count them, make sure you have them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Perfect. Okay, at this point, we will pin this up to 2 pins and go for an open. At that point, I'll kind of stop and let things ruminate for the week. Let people practice. Anybody who's picking along, practice, get good at it. Try. You'll want to do this probably 20, 30 opens, just so that you're very, very comfortable, very, very familiar with how the lock is behaving where it's pinned up to. At that point, I'm thinking maybe midweek. Maybe I'll do a live stream where anybody who's following along can ask questions or anything that they want to know. Maybe I can give them assistance, help, whatever. But we'll see how that works out. Just a Q&A or whatever, maybe midway through the week. I think I'm going to release these progressive pinning videos on Sunday and maybe do like a Wednesday, Thursday live stream, maybe Thursday, and check in with anybody who's following along and see how it's going. So that's what we're going to do. So let's pin this thing up to 2 pins. First, we'll put in number 5. We'll do it from the back here just because it's easier to reach. Put in our spring for number 5. And here's a little tip I picked up along the way. Grab your pin, put it in the pinhole, push it down part of the way, and then push the follower up against it. That way you can push down on it. And it's a lot easier to do that way than it is to try and push it and hold it down while you're trying to get it in. So just a little tip. Okay, put the pin in, push her down. Okay, so we have 5 and 4 populated with driver pins. Now we'll populate our core with 5 and 4. Make sure you put them in the right spot. Okay, number 5. Come on, you jerk. Go in. Okay, 5 and 4. Again, put it about the 10 o'clock position. And go for it. Lock it up. Check and see if the key works. It should work, which it does. Put our clip back on. Okay, now we're ready to put her back together and go for an open. So put your core back in. Make sure it's pushed over to the right. Put in your retention plate, your retention nut. Put your screw back in. And we should be ready to go for an open on this thing. Okay. Key's working just fine again. Okay, we'll put everything out of the way. And we'll go for an open here. Here's another little tip for anybody who's interested. these locks, they're not super expensive, but they can get that way when you buy a whole bunch of them. So what I've done is I bought 3 of the locks with lock bodies, and then I bought a bunch of just cores where I can pick the 3 locks, get good at them, get bored with them, then dump the cores out and put new cores in. So that's a little tip that can save you some money if you're interested. Okay, let's go for an open on this guy, and then we'll end the video, and I'll check back in with you guys maybe in a few days. I will be using my Genesis and Echelon pick set for this, so I already set out a pick anyway. I'll be using the short flat hook. That way anybody who has the F and G set, the Genesis set, can kind of pick along. Okay, we'll use top of QA tension. We'll go in the lock. We'll start in the back. We're already starting in a false set because of the we only have 2 spools in there. So like you see, it's going from the, what is that, like the 1 o'clock position to maybe 3 o'clock position as we put tension on it, because there's only spools in it. So we should get some counter rotation as we're picking here. A little click on 5. Some counter rotation, more counter rotation on 4. Lost our tension there. Click on 5. Click on 4. We are open. Now, like I said, do this maybe 20, 30 times. Get very comfortable with how the lock behaves, what the binding order is. Pick it over the next week, and then I'll check in with you guys in a few days. Hello, real quick, I just want to add these couple little things to this video. First things is this black belt lock. This has Christmas tree spools, not gin spools, just a heads up. Second thing, I'd like to show people what I do for whenever I'm progressive pinning a lock, because you don't really want to have loose pins laying around where they can get knocked over and spilled and frickin' sent God knows where. So we're just going to do what I normally do. So what I do is I transfer them to another tray, this small tray. I actually have some right now currently in my steel covert instruments tray. We'll transfer them over to this smaller tray. Now that we got them transferred to the small tray, how do we keep them from spilling? So this is what I do. I take masking tape. And I just take a little bit of masking tape and put it across my pins. Usually grab the end, fold it over so I have something to grab hold of. So I cover that with masking tape. There's no way for me to lose or dump over the pins or whatever. And then I'll let this sit until next week whenever I come back with you guys. So just a little tip there for anybody who's like me and has constant chaos at the house. I have two daughters that live at home, and they're always fighting. I have three dogs and one cat, and they're always knocking stuff over or whatever. So just a little thing to keep your pins safe and not lost. So anyway, just a little tip there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your enemies too. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.